We've been talking about Bernie Sanders as the real progressive candidate for 2016. And 5 days ago, there was an article published by Slate called Bernie Sanders Gun Nut. And it points out that, yes, Bernie Sanders is, of the current candidates, by far the most progressive on almost every issue. But there is an issue in which Bernie Sanders is far to the right of Hillary Clinton. And Slate writes, during his time in Congress, Sanders opposed several moderate gun control bills. He supported the most odious NRA-backed law in recent memory, one that may block Sandy Hook families from winning a lawsuit against the manufacturer of the gun used to massacre their children. And it goes all the way back to 1993, when then Congressman Bernie Sanders voted against the Brady Act, which all that did was mandate federal background checks for gun purchasers and restrict the access of felons to firearms. As a senator, Bernie Sanders has supported bills to allow firearms in checked bags on Amtrak trains, to block funding to any foreign aid organization that registered or taxed Americans' guns. So this is a real thing. He has since endorsed some modest gun control measures. Now, in fairness to Bernie Sanders, he also doesn't always see eye to eye with the NRA. And in fact, I looked up the NRA's rating of Bernie Sanders, and they rated him as a D-. And for me, if the NRA gives you a low rating, that's a positive thing. What do you think about this, Lewis? Should we be thinking of, I don't know, the context of Vermont? Vermont, a state that is very rural with a very low population, where having guns is much more a part of the sort of fabric of the state without having a high crime situation. How should we explain or think about this?
It could be that that spending time in Vermont and being in Vermont has something to do with this. I don't care too much about this, to be honest, because I agree with him on almost everything else, and I think he is one of the smartest guys out there, and of course one of the most progressive. So I think, even though I want stricter gun control, that Bernie is still going to be my guy despite this.
Yeah, I support strict gun control. I support background checks, etc. I dislike the NRA. I think that they're out there simply to capitalize on any opportunity, either more crime or less crime, to justify more guns as the result, as the intended result for their clients, which are the gun companies. I don't agree with Bernie Sanders on a lot of these votes, but by and large, I still agree with Bernie Sanders about so much more than with any other candidate. So I completely respect Slate for writing this. Everybody should know all of the positions of anyone they're considering voting for or not voting for. But for me, it pales compared to the issues on which I agree with Bernie Sanders so much more strongly than with any other candidate.